Hey everyone, welcome to another week. We are starting a new unit. We finished up our last unit. Now we are working into our introduction into algebra. So I'm going to make this video as short as possible, but what our lesson is going to look like this week is that there will be two documents available for you. There will be this one and a second one along with the video. Now, the big key with this is that both of those documents will have the answer keys to them. This is a tougher unit. It covers a lot of concepts and pushes our mathematical abilities. But it's nothing you guys haven't looked at before, especially those that were in my classroom last year. It uses some new language, but it's concepts that you guys have been using since grade 3, really, where we look at what's missing, what is our unknown number, and we're putting in new words like variables and coefficient to really let us set up our equations easier. And that's our first lesson. So our first lesson is equations and expressions. So an algebraic expression, now that just means an expression, that is part of an algebra term, is it a math expression or phrase containing numbers, letters, and operations. An algebraic equation, on the other hand, includes an equal sign. Both sides of the equal sign will balance each other out. And so this is how we know, and we'll look at this near the end of the unit, where we have both sides are the same. So that's the first thing that we look at, is that an expression is just a phrase containing numbers and letters and operations together, while an equation has an equal sign. And both sides of those equal signs will be equal to each other in terms of their value. So both sides of the equal sign will balance each other out. Let's have a look at just a few of the terms first off. So our first one that we have is a variable. This is a letter that represents a number. It could be any letter. A lot of the more common ones that we see are X, Y, W for width, what we've seen in area, perimeter, and volume, length for area, perimeter, and volume, or height, right? So whatever the variable is, in this case, it's 5 plus f. This is an expression because there's no equal sign. This 5 plus f, the variable in it is the f. It's an unknown number. Now, a term is part of an expression or equation that is separated by operations. It's always the total on one side. So what we have here is 3f minus 2 equals 10. So the expression is 3f minus 2. Now, another word that may be unfamiliar is this term coefficient. So this is a number that comes before a variable. Now, from now on, we're always going to put these numbers in front of the variable. And it tells you to multiply the variable by that amount. So, for example, the coefficient here is 4. And it's telling us that you have to multiply 4 by the variable, whatever that number is. So 4 times k minus 6. If a product doesn't have a coefficient in front of it, we assume that there's an imaginary 1 there. So it's 1 multiplied by that coefficient. It's not a 0 or anything like that. And then finally, we have constants. Now, constants are numbers that stand alone. They aren't related, or they aren't associated with any other variables for multiplying or dividing. So, for example, here in this 4b minus 15, the constant is 15. There's no other variable with it. So we turn these words into symbols, and symbols represent words a lot in these, and we're going to be practicing on how to write those out both ways. So it's important that we're able to turn words into symbols and then go back again. Creating an equation or expression will help you solving word problems. It's all about remembering some of your keywords from that we have learned earlier in the year. So here's some examples. So remember, the product means multiplying. So 3x plus 12. It means the product of 3 and a number, so this 3 and that number. So the product or the multiplication of 3 and a number increased by 12. So, or 3 times a number plus 12. Those are both ways to say this. Here we have 5 plus a number, or the sum of 5 and a number, or 5 increased by a number. This is why there's not just one set way to read these. There's a couple different ways you could word these. But either way, you start with the 5 and you're increasing it by a number. If they were switched, you would be n increased by 5, or n plus 5, not 5 plus n. Here we have 55 divided by a number. Here we have n divided by a number, so we have a number divided by 3, or a third of a number, or a number split 3 ways. Again, this symbol here is all represented by these 3 ways. And finally, just 4m, the product of 4 and a number, or 4 times a number. So some examples that we have here. If you want to pause the video and try and do these yourself, again, the answer key will be provided to you, but I want to just type these in. So if you want to pause and try them out and then start the video again, you're more than welcome. But for this one, we have 4 and a number divided by 2. So this would be 4 plus a number divided by 2. Okay? Here we have 6 and a number. This looks just like this one here, except different variables and a different coefficient. This one would be 6 times a number, or the product of 6 and a number. Whenever you see those variables, that is where it is going to be, you just replace it in as a number, because we don't know what that number is. If it's just an expression in an equation, we could figure it out. All right, here we have a variable plus a constant. So we have a number plus 3, or the sum of a number and 3, or a number increased by 3. Those are 3 ways that you can represent this expression. Okay? So again, feel free to pause, have a look at the answer keys, and we'll keep going. So the above are all expressions because they don't have an equal sign. When you're changing an equal sign to words, it becomes is. So anytime you're trying to talk or turn an expression or an equation into words, whenever you see the equal sign, you replace it with is. So for example, here, it says 5 times a number minus 4. You don't say equals 6, you simply say is 6. So 5 times a number decreased by 4 is 6. Here we have a half of a number, or a number divided by 2, is 6. It's very important to be able to turn words into expressions or equations as well. So this is how we turn expressions into words. This is showing the example of how we turn words into expressions. So 2 times Mr. McWade's height. We have 2w, because 2w, weight, not height. And so that w represents my weight. 10 subtracted from a number, so it's not 10 minus n, because we're taking 10 away from a number. So n minus 10. A number subtracted from 10, we have 10 minus n. My height divided in half, we have h representing our height divided by 2, because that's half. 1/3 of my shoe size is 3. So now we have that word is. So we know we have our equal sign in here. So 1/3 of my shoe size, so my shoe size, S, divided by 3, is equal to 3. The width of the rectangle decreased by 3 is 4. So we have width decreased by 3 is 4. So remember, is that equal sign. Now, this is another spot where you guys can pause if you want to try these out first, okay? And you can click go, you can stop, do it however you like. But this is good practice, and the next assignment will have more of these practices on there. The final, the exit slip that we have for the end of this week will there will be examples of these on there. So work through these. If you have questions, definitely let me know, but take a moment to pause here, try them out, and fill them in as you go. Okay. So the weight of my dog increased by 8 is 68 pounds. So we want to look at this. The weight of my dog, so that is, let's say, we'll do that as W. increased by 8 pounds. So we know that's increased. That gives us plus is. Remember that is represented by an equal sign, and 68 pounds. That's going to be our constant. So we have 4 parts of this. The weight of my dog, which we don't know. So we go W. I'm just going to erase it. W increased by 8 plus 8 is equal to, because that's the is sign, 68. If you guys ever want to try and do that with your highlighters, and this is what we would be doing in the classroom, we would be highlighting it up with different color highlighters to represent what the different words represent. There you are. I know that last color is a little different, but you know what it is. The weight of my dog, which is represented by W because that's our unknown, it's our variable, increased by 8 plus 8 is the equal sign, 68 pounds. That's our answer. So Mary weighs 5 pounds less than me. So here we want me minus 5 equals S. Here we have 2 variables. We don't know what the final answer is. Mary's weight. So Mary's weight. I'm not going to highlight for everyone. I just want to do it for these. So Mary's weight is 5 pounds less So 5 pounds less means minus 5. And then me. I just put an S for Sean. I guess I could have. No, I couldn't do McWade because I already had Mary there. So Mary weighs 5 pounds less than me. So if you put this in, it would show that Mary's weight is 5 pounds less than my weight. Let's do some other examples. The dollar store in my bank, or the dollars in my bank account doubled and then decreased by 500 is 1,500. So that sounds like a lot, but just follow it along. Do one at a time. The dollars in my bank account doubled. So we want 2. 2b, because that is representing 2 times b. I'll do highlighter. This is the last one I'll do the highlighter on. Dollars in my bank account is represented by B, because we don't know what that value is. And then decrease by 500. So that would be minus 500. Equals, so is 1,500. There you go. So the dollars in my bank account, we don't know what that is B. Doubled is 2, because 2 times anything is doubling that amount. And then decreased by 500 is 1,500. So I'm just going to put a couple other examples down here, explain them as we go. We got 5 more, and then we'll be done. So 5 times my height. That can simply be 5 times h, which is the same as 5h. So we would simply put 5h as your answer. 5 pounds less than my weight. We would do your weight minus 5. The product of my weight and 4w, because product, remember, is a multiplication. Now this one is a little more difficult. The sum, so remember sum means addition, of my weight and 10, then split in half. You have to remember, how do you get something? How do you get half of something? You divide it by 2. So you start off with the beginning. The sum of my weight and 10. So w divided by 10. Plus 10, because that's the sum. And then you divide both of those by 2. So w plus 10 divided by 2. And then finally, 5 less than the amount in Mr. McWade's wallet is 50. So 5 less than the amount in Mr. McWade's wallet. So we would go, we don't know what's in my wallet. We would go W, 5 less is equal to 50. And that's it. We're not looking at solving these equations yet. We'll learn those in a bit. We're just looking at the terminology of them for this week, how to turn them from words into expressions and equations,